Welcome back, everyone. I'm JTXRP, and today we have Treasury with us, another great project on the XRP ledger that's also going to be a part of the block. And we wanted to do a full kind of interview with them and hear more about their project. So if you're new to Treasury, this is going to be the best video for you to get to know where they are, I guess, on March of 21st, 2022, and where their project's going, and yeah, how you can possibly benefit from their token. None of this is financial advice. Make sure to always like, share, and subscribe. And if you're interested in purchasing crypto, there are links in the description to do so. And it'll benefit both of us. So you win, I win, it both works. But without further ado, let's get started with Treasury because we have Jason and going blank because they switched spots on me. Duncan with us tonight. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing very well, JT. How are you yourself?
Good. I'm a little rushed, I guess, in my intro. But besides that, I'm doing great. Trying to remember names here. I'm going blank. I'm doing so many interviews with people from the block, and everyone's running together. But so of course that won't happen by the end of tonight because I'll know a lot more about your project. So tell us a little bit about first you guys and what your role is on the project, and then we'll get into what the project is.
Right. So my name's Jason. I'm from Australia, and I founded Treasury about 4 months ago, coming up to that stage now. Initially, like I said, I started Treasury as a bit of an educational project for myself to increase my knowledge of the blockchain, the XRPL as a whole, and just generally to see the other side of running a project. And now 3 or 4 months later, it seriously opened up into a much bigger world than I expected. And now we've got a huge team across 4 or 5 different countries that are really putting their all into this project. And we're really excited to keep the ball rolling and bringing out some amazing utility.
Gotcha. And what about you, Duncan?
So my name's Duncan, and yeah, I started off as a holder of Treasury, just like hopefully we have many more, after people have tuned into this video, joining our amazing community. So I was a holder of Treasury. I fell in love with the whole concept. I have a real passion for things that do things. So this really kind of chimed for me. And I was given this amazing opportunity basically to become part of the team and help continue to develop Treasury as a project. So yeah, super excited for what's been done to date and also everything that is to come really on the project.
Gotcha. What is your role? Like if you had a title, like what would that be? Like, are you kind of like just general contractor?
So I'd say probably day to day is just second in command to Jason. So I kind of slot in where is needed. Like Jason said, we've got this amazing team. We didn't set out for everyone to be across pretty much every time zone around the world. But the amazing thing is that basically, when Jason's asleep, it's daytime for me. When I'm asleep, we've got our graphic designer in the States, continuing to develop things. We've got our XRPL developer like in Canada. We've got our amazing community manager out in the Philippines. We've got the list goes on, and it's just this incredible feeling of us on our team chats just constantly, keeping up to date because it's this machine that just never sleeps, and that's a really exciting prospect.
And the thing that I'm really proud of that as well is pretty much everyone on the team came from within the community, and we've just found people with different skills and experiences and combined all that together to create what we have now, which is really exciting. And yeah, it's been really cool to see people who have been really keen on getting involved in blockchain development or being part of a project, or really excited about getting into design work, but have no idea of how to promote themselves or get the word out there. It was awesome to bring a few people like that on board, get them involved in the project, and then say to other projects who need some help, hey, we've got the guy for you, talk to this person, and boom, this person who really wanted to build their skill set is now working across multiple projects. They have a second income coming in for themselves, and they're doing what they love. So it's been so awesome to kickstart that for a few people on the team.
No, that's really cool to be able to work on your passion. So that's a little bit about who you guys are, and it's cool to see that your team, how many, if you had to put a number to it, how many people do you have that are a part of that team on a paid level?
10, I believe now.
10?
Is that right,
Wow.
Duncan?
Yeah. 10, yeah. With the recent onboarding, 10. And for anybody who's interested, we have recently done our full sort of docs that is available on our website. So there's all of our profiles. And anybody who's interested in Treasury drops into the Telegram, the Discord, sends a DM. Jason or me, we're never too far away. We are so reachable for any questions people have, and we're very, very happy to do those one-on-one chats if people, have any questions or any concerns or anything. So, yeah.
The great thing is, if there's any questions that our moderators or other team members can't answer, instead of trying to fill the gaps and give a answer that isn't quite correct, they go straight to us first off. So whenever someone asks a question, whether it's straight away they get a response or an hour or 30 minutes later, whatever it may be, they get the correct information from the people directly involved in making the decisions.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully we'll answer a lot of their questions here tonight. And who knows what, maybe we'll do an AMA live stream in the future or something. We'll figure it out. But
Excellent.
And if you are viewing this though later, then make sure, because I guess we're recording, this is going to be later, but check the description below for all the links or their link tree, and you can make sure to contact the team from there. But so Treasury is a multi-token project, right? So can you tell us a little bit about the project and what the utility that you guys do bring? And let's start with what's happening, and then maybe we'll get into where the project's going.
Sure. So Treasury, like you said, is a 2-token project currently. We have TRSRY, short for Treasury. That's our store of value token. That's a token we expect people to buy into, trade, hold onto, and for the value of that to consistently over time, obviously, trend upwards. Whereas our second token, UtiliteX, is generally where we're building our four main utility points from our white paper 2.0. As mentioned a few other times, we have a huge list of future developments we want. However, we chose in white paper 2.0 to put in the key fundamentals that we know we can achieve over the next 3 to 6 months. And then after that, we can start working on our dream final goals. So the 4 or 5 utilities that we're looking to add, initially, the first one is our rewards program. So generally, by holding Treasury, you'll get a 5% distribution monthly paid out in UtiliteX. So if you hold 100 Treasury, you'll get 5 UtiliteX. If you hold 100,000, you'll get 5,000 UtiliteX. The next section will be our academy. I'll let Duncan explain a whole bunch about that later, but generally it's a learn to earn, or possibly in the future, a learn to burn platform where you can answer questions, learn about different blockchains, learn about the XRPL, whatever you want to learn. We'll have information on there for users to increase their knowledge base and also earn or burn Treasury tokens, which is an exciting concept. On top of that, my favorite one, Venture. So essentially Venture will serve as a launch pad and a sort of funding scheme for different projects. Now, a lot of the time I've talked to friends in the past or people I know in the crypto space, and we've thrown around so many cool ideas that could really work, but there's no funding, there's no time, or there's no team members, or there's a gap that's missing. What we want to achieve with Venture is to offer the funding, offer these new projects all the equipment and team members they need to start, whether that's an airdrop tool or if that's funding or if that's a certain team member to fill a gap. We want Venture to be the launch pad for those tokens for them to have access to everything they need, but we'll break that down later as well. And finally, the Insure section of the white paper. Generally, it's like a sort of a really basic insurance policy for people who are venturing into, more risky or tokens that over time may end up rug pulling or causing a huge net loss due to the way the project was managed. But we'll get into that later. Duncan's got a huge spiel about that.
Okay. So that's kind of an overview of all the things, right? Or is there more?
Right now, that's
sorry. I was going to say that's everything that is currently either almost developed or in development. And then there's everything else that we can't unfortunately talk about right now.
Gotcha.
Well,
this one,
just sort of down.
NFT bonds.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's
well,
the NFT bonds as well, which are literally a few days away. So
Okay.
that's going to be an exciting addition. Also,
so as of today, March 21st, 2022, what is currently in play? Like what if someone bought Treasury right now, what would be the utility that is added by Treasury and UtiliteX that because it sounds like UtiliteX is for something that you guys have not developed yet. Is that my understanding? And has not been airdropped, but is going to get airdropped.
So UtiliteX was dropped 3 days ago. So we did a big airdrop on the 18th of March, and obviously we needed to do that in order to get UtiliteX in circulation, which obviously is a requirement for us to be able to use it to bring utility to Treasury. So that's done. Website went live yesterday, and to all intents and purposes, it's just a very, very beautifully crafted website by our designers and our XRPL developer. But what people may not necessarily see looking at it is that a lot of work has gone into what you can't see on the website. So we now have all the framework in place so that, for example, when Academy launches, and we'll come back to that, which is near enough imminent, we're looking at a week to 2 weeks, probably tops. People will be able to go onto the website, and the framework is there that will facilitate us to be able to launch it. So perhaps someone might say that if you are not involved with Treasury, you haven't missed the boat. It's probably the perfect opportunity and the perfect timing for someone who is interested or curious to get involved, because we are literally all the groundwork is done, and we are literally about to launch the utilities now.
Wow. Okay. So, but just for everyone's curiosity, the airdrops have been done, and there's no more planned, correct? Because I'm like, as soon as people hear those words, like, did I miss it? Like, there's no more coming, right?
The initial large one, which was a 50% airdrop, so 100,000 Treasury, you would have received 50,000 UtiliteX. That's complete and finished. However, the monthly rewards of 5% are ongoing. So,
Gotcha.
Dependent on your holdings, that could be a fair amount for some people. But no, they haven't missed you've missed the large one. However, the monthly rewards that are paid out in UtiliteX, those will continue on.
Gotcha. So if you hold Treasury, you'll gain UtiliteX monthly.
That's correct. And then It's up to you how you use that UtiliteX, whether you decide to sell it immediately or you choose to use that for the future range of utilities that we spoke about earlier, and we'll talk about later.
So you do need the trust line set for UtiliteX to be able to receive that, right? So if you're holding Treasury, like, where's my UtiliteX? So like, you obviously need the trust line to receive it monthly, right? Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
Cool. I'll put both links to that in the description below as well.
Cool. And all the details are on the website as well. So yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, it's cool. I mean, obviously this is an exciting time for Treasury. I think depending upon when this video launches, which I think may be sometime the following week. So it's probably you're hearing this when this is actually about to happen. So go do the things, guys. But let's expand a little bit on the projects or the different aspects of the utility here a little bit more. The airdrops, when exactly do those happen on a monthly basis, or has that been decided yet?
They'll be on the 18th of every month.
18th of every month. Okay. Cool. And then what do you have any projects that are already applying for your UtiliteX funding, or how's that work?
So we've not directly advertised for projects to come forward. However, it's already built into a website for projects that are ahead of the game and want to get their name out there. However, right now we're choosing to focus on the Academy and the NFT bonds at this stage. But as Duncan said, within a week and a half, once they're out and complete, that's when venture is going to be our number one priority. And yeah, as you can imagine, there's a lot behind the scenes that needs to be done to ensure the smooth running of that. So it's not something we're looking at rushing. However, it's definitely something that we're going to get a move on with and make sure that we're making steady and strong progress with it.
Gotcha. And so I'm jumping the gun on the UtiliteX thing. So let's jump back to the other two, whichever one you want to take first.
Cool. I'll fire away with Academy if that's all right, JT. So the idea of Academy is really what we did prior to the white paper coming out, and what formed the basis to a large part of the white paper was engaging with the community a lot. We spent a lot of time listening to our holders and taking a step back and taking a view of the XRPL as a whole. And what we identified is that for most part, it's very, very easy to get into crypto trading. You don't need, a qualification or degree or even any majorly intrinsic kind of understanding. So this concept of kind of aping in or FOMOing into a project you see it all the time. And what we've noticed is actually just from the conversations that we field from holders and people interested in the project, and also larger field on a daily basis, is that actually for the large proportion of people involved in trading crypto, their understanding of it is actually very small. And so the idea of Academy is specifically targeting those that know very little about how to trade, what the blockchain, what the blockchain is, even concepts about treasury and what we intend to do, right the way through to everything else in between, is to create really bite-sized lessons. So people are not going to have to take any more than 5 to 10 minutes out of their day if they choose to participate in the Academy. They'll head over to our website. They will connect their wallet to the website, which allows us to track their progress through the Academy. And then they will be able to access the lessons. When the Academy launches, there's going to be on or around 60 lessons split over various modules. So like I said, it will be basic introductory modules on XRP, XRPL, Ripple, blockchain, what's a ledger, through to modules about charting, understanding and interpreting charts, what's a wick, what are trend lines, through to information about how do you assess a project, what's a red flag on a project that you need to look out for, what are questions that you should feel comfortable to put to a developer, a dev on a project, and like I said, everything else in between. You do your lesson for your 5 or 10 minutes. At the end, there's a little quiz question. You complete the question, and you will then basically be put in a queue, and you will receive a small airdrop of treasury. Now, this is the other bit that I find quite exciting, is that right now, we will no longer be doing any more drops of treasury, because it's this token that's at the heart of the whole ecosystem. And it's the token that we're trying to build really, really good value in, so that it's an investment in itself. Okay. So the idea of doing these small drops is that we are giving people an opportunity who may not have the means in XRP, even though treasury price right now is a very good entry point. They can earn it for nothing, and they can earn their way into the ecosystem by simply becoming better educated about the ecosystem and the XRPL as a whole. So that's the idea. Is I don't want to generalize and say that those that can't afford to invest are those that basically are less educated in crypto, but certainly there is a bit of a synergy there. And I've also noticed, or we've noticed, that more often than not, there's people who invest who maybe don't have the knowledge, and they're the ones basically who are investing money they can't afford to lose. So we really hope that the XRPL and other blockchains look at this and they say, okay, they are doing something for the space. We're not monetizing out of this. We're paying them to learn. and hopefully it's something that will reflect well on Treasury and its commitment to making XRPL a better place.
Gotcha. No, that's really cool. And I think that would, that's a great entry way for, for me to get my friends that are not really crypto centric into a really, I'm not going to say you're an easy XRPL project, but it helps them understand. It gives them something to work with, and it doesn't require too much of a commitment, except for maybe creating a wallet and looking at a video every day if they were, if they were so inclined to do so, or a couple. Is there going to be a time limit on how many you can complete a day, or is it really just up to them of how much they want to go after learning and how much they are want to be incentivized by doing so?
So it will be limited most likely to one lesson a day.
Okay, because I can totally see. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. You may have noticed that, for example, the idea now that Treasury has no more airdrops and you are rewarded in UtiliteX by holding Treasury, you might start to notice a theme built into the Treasury project as a whole, which is that at every step, what we're trying to do is we're trying to protect our holders' investments, particularly from farming bots and people who are there to basically pick up the freebies and sell them off. So the example with the Academy is what we don't want to encourage is someone maybe with less good intentions coming, clicking through 60 questions, cashing in, and then they're gone, because that does nothing for them. They won't retain the information if they're whizzing through it. And it does nothing for our holders by us giving out Treasury to someone who isn't going to be involved in the project. So capped to probably 1 or 2 a day, yet to be determined. And the idea is it's that little, like people do the little word games or go out and stretch their legs. It's a 5-minute job a day that's easy for anybody to do and a great entryway into the Treasury ecosystem.
I would really encourage all of you to really take their training, especially if you are new to the crypto area, that you need to really get to know some of the stuff that they're taking the time to put together. And always do your own research. Nothing's here is financial advice. Please to make sure to take their training as best you can, and to really understand what you're getting into in crypto, especially if you're new to it. But that being said, I'm really thankful that you guys are out there and I've heard of other projects that are trying to get people into crypto, getting people into the XRP ledger specifically. And I think that is one of the best onboarding ideas I've ever seen. And I know that, let's say, like equate it to Coinbase a little bit. They have another educational system that's like that, where they reward people with with other tokens as they get to know about them more. Are you guys going to be able to host other tokens on this, or will they only be rewarded in Treasury? Or will people come to you and then, in spite of that, they'll be rewarded in Treasury? Like, how does that going to
work? So we have hinted in the white paper that when most of the curriculum is published on Academy, that we may consider and we may explore hosting guest lessons. Now, what we don't want is we don't want Academy to be seen to be a gimmick to sell or get people into other projects. So the tricky thing for us will be how do we decide which lessons we should be giving our holders access to effectively. And the consideration for us, as always, is we want to protect our holders, our investors. So it may just be that, for example, we turn to Bloc to look at other projects, because they're projects that we know will have that extra layer of assurance assigned to them, and they will most likely be the sorts of projects that, if we decide to have guest lessons or guest lectures on there, they will be the ones that we intend to host. But certainly, as we launch, the focus is solely on pure education, really, in a first instance.
Okay, well, I got you. And I think that's a great use for the Bloc's kind of filter for projects. I think that's an excellent idea. And that's just one of the many benefits I'm sure that people who join the block will benefit from. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
But what about, let's say, content creators? We have the opportunity for our video to be posted on your site and, gone to so many different ways, I guess. Are you guys going to incorporate YouTube, or is it just going to be videos that are hosted specifically on your site?
So the hardest thing for us is that we're also always trying to consider the whole of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, we've got a really good guy, Christoph, who heads up our Filipino kind of community.
Okay.
He's our community manager. Why does he exist? He exists basically because of the language barrier. And what we've found is actually there's some really good tools right now where you can do text translate pretty much on the fly. So in Telegram groups or off of websites and things like that. I don't know yet how well geared the tools are to basically translating, YouTube videos or audio files, things like that. Okay. That said, there is absolutely no reason. The Academy is fully featured. The development work that's gone into it is been astronomical, and kudos to our XRPL developer. We've got pretty much all of the bases covered. If we had access to some very good YouTube videos that were instructional, informational, then there's absolutely no reason why we can include them. So maybe that's a conversation we need to have with you separately, JT.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm open to it. I'm just saying, I know that there's
good.
Anytime you're creating learning material, I think that is an opportunity for people who kind of do what I do. And I think that Treasury would be a great way to get yourself out there as a content creator when you're in that platform, especially if it takes the workload off of the team and so forth. So and helps them get
100%.
views.
Yeah.
So
a step back as well regarding YouTube and videos.
Sure.
As all of you are aware, the XRPL services community, the Zoom community team, all of those people love hosting spaces, love putting their opinions out there. If we can set up a platform for them to educate and also have a incentive of rewarding and getting people involved, that may be something in the long term that they may be interested in working with us. So just speaking out loud, but it allows a lot of knowledge to be shared around, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. I know there's a lot of diverse efforts to get information out there, and I've seen a lot of great content by a lot of different people. I try to always do my best myself, but there's just people who have different strengths, and it's great when we can all get that information out. So whether you see me on there or someone else, just thankful that we're all doing this to help educate people. So
NFT Bonds is the one that we really want to talk about, because
cool.
when this video goes live, I think we will literally be on the cusp of launch dates. So this is the one that also seems to have most people excited about, and Jason's got the lowdown on that.
Okay.
Right. So essentially, taking a look at NFTs in general, we all know the cool dog photos, an alien, someone riding a camel. I don't know. There's photos of everything. There's very few NFTs out there that actually have a utility to them. So trying to capitalize on that and look at putting a twist on the art style of NFTs, we've chosen to create these NFT bonds. And I use that term really loosely. But generally, essentially what will happen is we'll have these artworks created. We've got plaques, which are our lowest tier NFTs. We've got coins, which are our mid-tier NFTs, and also our bars, which are our high tier NFTs. Essentially, art style only really relates to the aesthetic appeal and also their value as well.
So plaques, coins, and bars.
That's it.
Okay.
Cool. If you JT, think of the plaque or whatever we're going to call it, as those kind of big casino, the rectangular cards that people do the bigger bets with.
Okay, I've never had that experience. Maybe you have, cool. But good to know.
That's
just
showing off.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right. So we're split into 3 tiers. And generally, how it'll work is each NFT will have a maturity date printed on it, and also an assigned value of what that NFT will be worth that Treasury is willing to buy it off you at that maturity date, essentially. So we'll be selling these NFTs initially through the Sologenic marketplace for XRP.
Okay.
So we've got a formula set up, which we'll break down for those who are interested within our page at some point in the future. However, these NFTs will be sold for a value in XRP that is much lower than what they would be worth at their maturity date. So, for example, there was a few examples where you're easily doubling or tripling your value in XRP. However, the caveat is you must hold on to that NFT beyond the maturity date for it to be cashed back in to us at Treasury. However, it being an NFT doesn't stop you from selling it, trading it at any point in time. So you could buy it for example, 500 XRP. You may wait a month or two and say, hey, I think it's worth about 650 XRP now. Or, hey, the price went up 2 or 3 times on Treasury. I can sell this for a much larger amount. So it gives people the flexibility of holding onto the NFT until the maturity date to cash in the amount of Treasury listed within it, or they can go ahead and trade it between themselves to reduce their risk or get their XRP at an earlier point in time. So essentially, the NFT bonds idea is taking the simple concept of NFTs, photos, art, and combining that with some basic level of utility at this stage. And then eventually, as technology improves and XLS 20D comes along, we're going to look at even further ways we can expand that. But for now, that's the simple rundown on the NFT bonds.
Gotcha. No, I think that, so are you guys going to stagger the drop, so to speak?
Yeah, that's correct.
So you're not like, if everything comes due at once, I mean, that's pretty hard, right?
Yeah, definitely. So the formula we've used, I believe, is between 2 to 6 months for the maturity date. So you could expect that if you're only waiting 2 months for your payout, it's going to be a much lower payout. So, for example, you might buy it for 200, it might only be worth 225 or 250 at maturity date. Whereas if you purchase an NFT for the same price, however, the maturity is extended out to 5 or 6 months, you can imagine now you're looking at 400, 500, 600 towards the end of it. And within the tiers, we'll have different price points. So we might have 3 NFTs all going for the same price. However, one may be more valuable in the sense that, hey, you get a whole lot more Treasury in a longer period of time. Whereas one might be, you don't get as much Treasury, but you get it in 8 weeks instead of, 5 months.
Gotcha. Options within options within options.
Pretty
But I'm
much.
more worried about the release date of you on the drop, because if all of these come due at a certain point and many of them come together, then that puts Treasury as a project in a pretty harsh place too, right?
Yeah. So as mentioned, they're staggered within 4 months, and generally the way to trade it in will have a really easy system where generally you'll just transfer it to a certain address. And because the NFT is held within the blockchain, we can simply look at who held it, who transferred it, cool, the maturity date checks out, boom, there's their amount of Treasury that they're entitled to. So if we put them all on the same date, yeah, it'd be absolutely a mess. However, we believe within the 4 months we're staggering them between 120-ish NFTs for our first collection. That shouldn't be too much of a workload if all it entails is dropping the NFT into XRP scan or running a tool to check its transactions.
So I wasn't as concerned about the workload. I was more concerned about, could Treasury pay back everything that it said that it essentially the bonds would be worth. So don't know how well you guys are doing, or crypto, you never know tomorrow, right? But
so
that was one of my concerns.
So JT, there's detailed in the white paper, there's an amount of Treasury that we haven't put in circulation yet.
Oh, okay.
That is basically put aside for the payouts of the bonds. So the bonds, their value are marked in Treasury. And that is what they will be getting when they trade their NFT back in. What we do expect, however, is, it would be great in an ideal world that everybody who's got an NFT and in 4 weeks or 4 months or however long it is, when it reaches maturity and they get get it cashed in, we'd like them to keep their treasury and add it to the pool that they're earning their 5% UtiliteX on. But we are going on the assumption, and Jason's the one who did the headache-inducing number crunching to try and come up with this formula. We've gone on the basis that the large proportion of people may actually just choose to sell that treasury that we transfer to them to cash in back to XRP. And so it's all structured in a way that basically it will not create a huge volatility on the chart.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, for example, our first collection is limited to just a touch over 1 million treasury, or 1% of a supply. Our airdrops were, 20, 25%. And even now, so compared to the airdrops we're doing, we don't see any negative effect over a midterm period of time.
No, it's okay. That's cool. But if looking outside, looking in, if I want to get one of these NFTs, I would be thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to get a bond, and usually a bond is backed by usually a bank or a government, and of course you guys are Treasury, so a little, makes sense a little bit. So it's a cool product, and I haven't seen before on the blockchain personally, but the the concepts there, but the normal backing that we're used to is a little different. And so I just want to make sure that people understand that you guys have that backing, and that when the bond comes due, you guys will, of course, pay up on it. I would really like to see, you talked about future utility of this NFTs. Once these NFTs are distributed and people have them, could you not partner with other projects to send people based on the NFTs that they have certain things, like whether it be airdrop of another token you partner with, your UtiliteX stuff? Like there's the possibility of this combined with UtiliteX or another NFT project could be really powerful.
For sure.
Have you guys sorry, go ahead.
As mentioned, we've got a huge list of things we'd love to add. However, we just want to keep it short, simple, sweet. And then once we've got the framework laid out, then we can start adding on all these great ideas. And I'm not sure if Duncan wants to hint at anything, but regarding some of our special collector's edition NFTs, I'll leave it up to him if he wants to throw any exciting.
So we are working on something that we can only really tease at. But the idea is that as well as the main collection, so there's actually two big things to talk about as well with the NFT bonds. So that's the structure of the NFT bonds. They will go on Sologenic. They will be available for people to buy. We are also, and depending on the timings of this video, we are also going to be giving a free NFT bond to the top 100 holders of Treasury. Now we haven't done the snapshot for that yet, but depending on when the timings come out, there might be an opportunity for someone to jump in if they're quick and bag themselves one of those. And that's just as a way of us saying thank you to our largest holders. It's not saying we're not grateful to our smaller holders, but obviously the larger you're holding, the bigger the risk. And we're still a very young project, and it made sense for us to acknowledge the level of risk, but also the level of investment they've put in with us. So that's the idea with that. As for the collector's editions, there's going to be a very, very small number of collector's edition NFT bonds. And the only thing we can say about that is how cool would it be if you could not only own it digitally, but also own it physically.
Gotcha. So digital.
Can't say any more, so don't ask us.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I won't. I'll leave that for people in the comments to do. Hint, hint. Or if you guys want to hit up their Twitter. Well, I'm going to pull back a bit. If I'm new and I want to get into Treasury, and you've told me all these cool things, where can I get Treasury? So are you guys on any exchanges? Are there going to be new exchange listings? Tell us a little bit more.
So generally at this stage, I'll get started. Duncan, you can take over. Sorry. So generally at this stage, we're just sticking to our roots on the Zoom Dex and also the Sologenic Dex itself. A few reasons behind it is the way I see it is if we open Treasury up to a larger exchange, such as Bitrue or whatever other options there may be there, suddenly all the utility and the offerings of UtiliteX are gone for anyone who chooses to invest in there generally. They will just see Treasury as another token, maybe read the white paper, probably just trade it, use a bot on it, whatever in general. Whereas if we allow it to the XRPL and itself, we can really develop a project and build that community spirit. And then once the XRPL is a bit more well-known and there's a lot more access to it, that's sort of when we can start expanding and pushing on. But right now we've had a few discussions, and in general, we believe developing the products we're focusing on now and watching the future and seeing future developments in general before we make big moves like spending thousands of dollars on exchange listings. Right now, we got a lot more important places to focus on, we believe.
Gotcha. You had something to say, Duncan?
No, just to echo what Jason said, I don't think holders or investors realize how costly registering with a lot of the exchanges actually is as an exercise. And you know, we're a small project. There has not been a single token that has been sold to fund this project, and money doesn't grow on trees. So simply put, is it better for us to spend money on exchanges that won't guarantee a price increase, but will definitely guarantee huge amounts of volatility in a project that's still very young? Or do we spend that money on development, and which in turn we believe will bring value to the project and to the tokens? So that's it may change down the line, but that's our current standpoint, and we're unapologetic about that when people ask. Yeah,
I got you. Oh, well, why go to the exchanges when the exchanges can come to you, right? So
exactly.
It's always good to have the bargaining power of a really good project, and for people to be interested in it enough that that's all they hear about. And several, you know, I don't even know this ape coin that got on like Coinbase the other day. I had no idea what that was about.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but yet that gets on there, whatever. All right. I guess I need to go look into it. But even that being said, I want to say to all the viewers out there, if you are looking at an XRPL project and you're like, oh, well, it's not on an exchange and, you know, it's not, quote, a real coin or whatever. I've heard some different crazy stuff out there. Like, yes, it brings some utility to be on an exchange, but at the end of the day, the transactions and the transaction amounts to transfer whatever you want back to XRP, why do you need an exchange? Like,
Exactly.
we believe in XRP. So if you're in that mindset of, oh, it's not on Coinbase, it's not on Uphold. Well, I don't know about Coinbase, but Uphold, you can get XRP and you can go from, you know, whatever you have to XRP. But, you know, hopefully you'll be holding a good long time anyways on Treasury as well, because you've seen the utility in it. But yeah, I always think about exchanges, and I used to get so excited about exchange listings before I got involved with like you guys and some other projects and some conversations that we've had, and it just doesn't make much sense to me anymore why I thought that way. And so I just want to be able to share that like at the end of the day, that all matters because those transaction fees are super high. And yeah, if you want to get on like Ethereum or Bitcoin and you're worried about, you know, moving off there because it might cost you $137, we're in XRP. We don't care. Like it's like 0.0000 something
Exactly
to do that. So
Another thing to check as well. If you look at a lot of the new projects on these big exchanges, have a look at their volume. For example, jump on Bitrue, have a look at their newly listed projects. You know, there's not a huge amount of volume within 1,000 to 4,000 USD a day. Whereas within the DEX, a lot of good projects that are being run are easily exceeding that. And it costs $0, not $20,000 minimum to get involved. And like I said, at the end of the day, yeah, someone can buy Treasury or they can buy any other XRPL token. But the moment you buy it on an exchange, you're essentially throwing out the rest of the utility and everything that comes along. You just own the letters and a number next to it, essentially, instead of all the behind the scenes work we do.
Yeah.
Yep. So basically, you have to participate in a lot of these things. You have to have a Zum wallet. If you don't have a Zum wallet, you can go down in the description below, and I'll put a link there about how to set one up and make sure that you're all set. I might do another Dex tutorial as well. But for the most part, you can also use the decentralized exchange that comes with some. It's super simple. All you have to do is set the trust line and then tap on the token, and you can essentially exchange it there for XRP in your wallet. So it's super simple, guys.
The last two bits of utility that we've got in a bit more detail, the insurance and the venture platform.
Sure. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip over them. Please, absolutely.
No, that's all right. Because they form part of the main ecosystem as it currently stands, and that's like we said, without discussing the other things that we're currently working on, but that aren't currently in the new release of the white paper. But
the insurance is out right now.
Pardon?
The Insure is out right now.
So the insurance. So we haven't actually set a date for when we intend to launch Insure, simply because we needed to give UtiliteX token a bit of an opportunity to settle down price-wise after the airdrop. We need to have a bit of stability in that token, so probably need to run it a few weeks before we can launch the Insure utility. But very simply put, you are a holder of Treasury, and so thereby every month you will get 5% of whatever you hold in Treasury dropped to you in UtiliteX. Now you are free to sell the UtiliteX, and that's your monthly that's your monthly passive income right there. But you may also opt to keep the UtiliteX for the utility that it unlocks. And one of the utilities that I think could be beneficial, like I said, we wish there wasn't a need for it, but clearly it appears there is, which is to basically use it in a claim against a project that basically you were backing that got rugged. So hypothetically speaking, you've got your bag of UtiliteX and you go and let's think of a token that probably doesn't exist, XRPL or something like that. Let's say you hold X amount of that token and that project runs. Okay.
XRPL, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Assuming that token isn't listed on our Insure page, and we're going to have a projects page that is kept up to date daily, that advises people on projects that we have identified red flags against, and we're going to use a number of sources across the internet and across other XRPL projects to identify those that we think are of concern. When they're flagged with a red flag, obviously it's us saying, do your own research, but you're holding this token, so you might need to stop and think about it. But it also basically means that it's then no longer eligible for the insurance because we've identified something that is of pretty big concern with that project. That will give people an opportunity in itself for them to assess a project that they weren't aware that maybe had something going on with it, and maybe gives them an opportunity to exit from that project if they choose to. For any other project, pretty much that, and I can think of examples of projects that launched that are completely legitimate, a genuine team behind it and everything. But say, for example, poorly managed airdrops lead to a lot of the tokens going into farming accounts, and basically the token value drops and drops and drops to a point where the mountain is too big to climb. And the people behind that project may decide to withdraw their support for the project and its future development. Well, that's very sad. You could argue that, they shouldn't do that because people have bought in and they need to get on with it. But it has happened. And that's an example of a legitimate situation whereby you invested in a token that basically ceases trading effectively. What you can do is you come to us, you're holding your UtiliteX tokens. We can look at today's market value of UtiliteX, what that holding in UtiliteX is worth in XRP. And then what we do to work out the claim that you can put in for compensation is we would look at your holding in this other token that rugged or ceased trading, and we'll look at its value in the week leading up to that big event, the big rug pull, the big crash in its price. And from your holding and that average value, we can work out how much XRP losses you've got. And effectively, we will pay you up to the amount that you hold in XRP value of UtiliteX for any losses that you suffered as a result of that token rugging.
So buy XRP, trade XRP for crap project, and then crap project goes under, I get more UtiliteX.
Correct. You will get
Rewarded for crap projects. Good to know.
So you will get the amount of UtiliteX that will cover the losses that you had in that project.
Okay.
So,
but you're not trying to cover projects that are,
I guess,
yes.
Why don't we pay people straight in XRP? The reason for that is we don't run XRP, we're running Treasury, and we have this cool utility token, and that's what we're choosing to pay people in.
That wasn't my question. It's good to know.
Yeah,
but
and
that's good to address.
People are free to basically go and trade that UtiliteX that we've paid them in for XRP if they want to, and they will basically end up compensated for their losses. So we're prepared to compensate people for a project we have nothing to do with if they were invested in that project and that project rugged, so long as they are holding enough UtiliteX to match the value of the loss that they're claiming for.
Okay.
And that's for free, basically. That costs them nothing.
For holding UtiliteX.
All they need to do is hold Treasury and accumulate UtiliteX. And the larger their holding of UtiliteX is, the larger the claim they could potentially put in against a project that's rugged.
Interesting. Well, I'm very interested. I would love to interview someone who goes through that, because that sounds kind of complicated. I would just kind of like to see the aftermath of how that's done. I know that like it's very counter to, like, let's say, people who know Reaper, you can, if someone holds Reaper to have them reap their project, they can put in a sell order and they can kind of recoup that. Yours is just hold the token and you can apply for this insurance as long as you can verify some information.
You don't even need to apply for it. You just need to hold UtiliteX. And
well, how will you know if like that project happens, or like something happens to one of the
obviously the onus is on that holder to keep track of their portfolio. So the onus is on that holder to be educated about Treasury and what we offer, and they'll be able to do that through Academy. But if most of our holders understand our project, so if you are a Treasury and UtiliteX holder, but you're also dabbling in other projects, and one of those projects fails, you can come back to us and put in a claim using your UtiliteX holding, and then we will pay you for your losses.
The claim part is kind of what I was interested in. Yeah. So I'm holding UtiliteX and Treasury, kind of like an insurance card. And then let's say I get in a car wreck, or in an analogy to a rug pull, for example, or it shouldn't be a rug pull, because you're only insuring legitimate projects that are not on this blacklist that you have that are high risk. So you're insuring a legitimate project in case it happens. For the people that are holding your token, they go and fill out this claim form. And then I was going to say, it seems like a lot of information would be needed. But I'm sure you'll have education on that in the library, or.
I mean, all the information, the good thing is they don't need to fill out a form, because all we need is their wallet address, and everything is on the ledger. So when we have their wallet address, we'll immediately have access to how many tokens they hold in that project that rugged. And we will be able to look at the value of that token in the week leading up to the rug. And then we know how much XRP effectively they've lost when that project rugged and the price tanked.
And to add what Duncan is saying as well, we have our own XRPL developer working on the insurance scheme as well. So they'll be able to incorporate a program or develop something that will automate most of this process. And it's just simply the fact of us verifying this report that we get, essentially. So I'm not the man to explain how all that works, but we've got the brains behind the scenes, and no, we're not going to sit there on XRP scan, scrolling through 10,000 pages of transactions. We'll have a system that's going to break everything down for us so we can work quickly and efficiently. However, as Duncan had said, with all these blacklisted projects, there shouldn't be too many that slip through. But
gotcha. Well, passive insurance is what it sounds like, and that's not something to bat an eye at for sure. Correct. I think that's pretty. It's not. It's hopefully a utility you will never need. Exactly. But if you do, it's good to be holding Treasury to have it, right? And absolutely. And of course, if XRP blows up, it might be good to have an amount of Treasury equal to some insurance to be able to back some things up for sure. 100%. So check that out, guys.
So for when that launches, people just need to keep an eye on our socials and on our website. But like we said, we've got the means to do it pretty much tomorrow if we wanted to. But what we want to see is a bit more stability with the UtiliteX price chart, because the airdrop was only basically 4 days ago from the recording of this video. So we need a bit more stability before we can launch it. But otherwise, just a free perk. It's a free perk, and all you need to do is be a Treasury and a UtiliteX holder.
Wow, that's pretty amazing, guys. Thank you for that. I'm the extra security in the community, I'm sure will be very, very thankful. So
and then we got the last project, which Jason is gonna.
The last one. I won't spend too much time on it, just because there's a few things we still need to organize, and I don't want to explain it in too much detail initially, whereas we'll have specific videos and AMAs and Q&As about this closer onto the date of release. However, the final utility is Venture, and Venture will be our launch pad for new ideas, new projects, new concepts, or even tokens that have a really great team and backing. However, they might be missing a little bit of funding to achieve their goals. So as Duncan had mentioned earlier on, it's sort of a gap between the huge amount of XRPL, the XRPL Foundation funding, and the difference between you getting funding from them and then on the complete opposite scale, having a pre-sale and negatively affecting someone's outlook on your token. We sort of fill that gap where we can bring the attention, we can bring our team members together, we can help supply these projects with developers, designers, anything they may need to get kickstarted. And we can also have a strong community to follow them and be involved, combined with a voting platform where they can achieve funding for their project. So in general, how it'll work is, again, it all stems from holding Treasury. You hold Treasury. Every month you get 5% rewards in UtiliteX. Again, you can sell it, you can accumulate it for Insure, or what we'd suggest and the outlook we see is for our monthly votes for the venture system, you will choose your favorite project from a list of 3 to 5 or whatever it ends up being at the time. You choose your favorite project. At the end of that project cycle, the project with the most votes, the funding raised through that UtiliteX will be sold directly to XRP. And then over time and an agreement that, again, we're not going to get into here because there's a lot of considerations, that funding will be delivered to the project over time in alignment with a certain amount of goals that they are required to meet. And the whole time we'll be overlooking and ensuring that they've got the team and experience they need to keep it going.
Gotcha. No, that's really cool. I would love to see more platforms launched, and hopefully we'll get some. I would still want to see more gaming on the XRPL.
Absolutely.
So, hope some projects will reach out to you.
Great suggestions in our Telegram chats about different games that people have thought about. And the first thing I told them was, hey, Venture's coming out, present it well, get a few friends or team members or names behind you who can assist and make it work. Come to us, and then you never know, you could get the Kickstarter funding you need to make it a dream. So definitely there's lots of things that I've heard that I'd literally love to assist people in creating. However, without a stepping stone, it's not that easy for most people to pull out, $10, $15, $20,000 to dump into a project that, there's a lot of things to consider before getting involved. So hopefully we can allow the people with the experience and the knowledge and the drive to step up and bring something new to the XRPL and eventually a whole range of blockchains.
Gotcha. Well, that's a whole host of utility guys, and you guys are just trying to drop stuff back to back to back to back to back. So y'all are killing it. I'm sorry, you have something to say, Duncan?
No, I was just going to say, just going back to venture, for anybody who's looking at this and has that great idea, but don't think they have the funding to do it, or they're a little bit nervous or whatever, head over to our website, head over to the venture page. There's a signing up form there. Start talking to us about their project, their ideas, and let's see if we can include them in the very first venture vote we're going to be bringing up.
Gotcha. And would this also be available to other people that say that are projects that are already out there, but maybe on another blockchain and they're just having a hard time with adoption? Would that be something to relaunch on the XRP ledger? Would that be something you guys would consider?
Oh, it's a relaunch. Yeah, absolutely. Even across a different blockchain, it will be something we'd be happy to work to eventually. However, as I'm sure everyone watching this video knows, the XRPL is in its infancy stage. You know, it's a really, really young platform still. Everyone's still trying to grasp the basics. Developments are only now within the last year and a half really kicking off, and we're seeing some large scale projects being developed. So at this point, if we can induce some funding and we can bring the community together even stronger and build up the bases we have in the XRPL, I think it's something that we should focus on in the short to midterm. And then after we've seen the massive growth that we're all pretty much expecting from the XRPL, that's when we can take a step back and say, hey, you know, someone on the Binance Smart Chain has this great idea. But for now, we want to see our chain and this ledger really explode like it honestly should have by now. So we want to build it from the ground up.
Gotcha. So I was talking about if someone was on Binance Smart Chain, for example, and their project wasn't doing so hot, and granted, I don't know why they'd come over the XRPL, but I have a couple of reasons why. But if they were to say, hey, you know, we're going to not have our token, or we want to do this token and the XRPL, and we want to develop our project on it, as opposed to this other one, would that be something? Well, I guess to clarify.
That would be something to discuss with them, I guess, just because at the end of the day, you know, we've got Insure on this side, and now we're saying, hey, forget about this side of a project and join us over here. It'd be kind of counterintuitive to what we're suggesting. However, if there's a market for it and they've got a plan set out, and you know, we can see that they're generally trying to assist their holders and secure their investors' money, that's something that we'd be open to. But case by case, it'd be tricky to say that in general.
I'm just expecting a lot of projects to convert, so I'm always interested to see, you know, the opportunities for them to do so. And
for sure.
Yeah,
encourage people to engage with us. Basically, it's very hard to explain some of the complexities of the utilities that we're developing in a relatively short video, but we are always available to discuss things with people. We love hearing their ideas. We love responding to any concerns they have as well. So we genuinely are working really hard to foster a strong relationship with our community of holders. So yeah, reach out. We're never too far away.
Gotcha. Well, I'm excited about Treasury and a whole Treasury. I'm not sure if I got that airdrop, but I don't think I have my trust line set, so my fault. But my bad. It's so hard in crypto to keep up with everything, guys. But I'm really excited about what you guys are doing with the launch pad, and the bonds sound interesting, and the passive insurance alone is and the, you know, of course, monthly not bonus but airdrop to your holders is pretty awesome for that. Yeah, but if you guys have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll make sure that we get the answers to them, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. But without further ado, I'm JTXRP. This is Jason and Duncan, and we are out.